On October 20, 1977, a Convair CV-240 chartered by the rock band Lynyrd Skynyrd from L&J Company of Addison, Texas, ran out of fuel and crashed in Gillsburg, Mississippi, near the end of its flight from Greenville, South Carolina, to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Lead singer Ronnie Van Zant, guitarist vocalist Steve Gaines, backing vocalist Cassie Gaines, assistant road manager Dean Kilpatrick, pilot Walter McCreary and co-pilot William Gray all died as a result of the crash. 20 others survived. Crash. On October 20, 1977, 3 days after the release of Street Survivors, Lynyrd Skynyrd's chartered Convair CV-240 ran out of fuel near the end of the flight from Greenville, South Carolina, where they had performed at the Greenville Memorial Auditorium, and were en route to LSU in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The pilots attempted an emergency landing on a small airstrip, but the plane crashed in a forest near Gillsburg, Mississippi. Lead singer Ronnie Van Zant, guitarist vocalist Steve Gaines, assistant road manager Dean Kilpatrick, pilot Walter McCreary, and co-pilot William Gray all died on impact, and backing vocalist Cassie Gaines bled to death at the site. Keyboardist Billy Powell's nose was nearly torn off as he suffered severe facial lacerations, and he later caused a controversy by giving a lurid account of Cassie Gaines' final moments on a VH1 Behind the Music special about the band, claiming that the backup singer's throat was cut from ear to ear and that she bled to death in his arms. Powell also claimed that Ronnie Van Zant's head had been smashed. Powell's version of events has been disputed by both Artemis Pyle and Judy Van Zant Gennis, who posted the autopsy reports on the band's website in early 1998 in order to set the record straight, while essentially confirming Powell's account. The third member of the Honkettes, JoJo Billingsley, was not on the plane and was homesick. She had been planning to join the tour in Little Rock, Arkansas, on October 23. Billingsley claimed that she had dreamed of the plane crash and begged Alan Collins by telephone not to continue using the Convair. The Convair CV-240 had been inspected by members of Aerosmith's flight crew for possible use earlier in 1977, but was rejected because it was felt that neither the plane nor the crew were up to standards. Aerosmith's Assistant Chief of Flight Operations Zunk Bicker tells of seeing pilots McCreary and Gray passing a bottle of Jack Daniels back and forth while he and his father were inspecting the plane. Aerosmith's touring family was also relieved because the band, specifically Steven Tyler and Joe Perry, had been trying to pressure their management into renting that specific plane. Cause, Powell, among others, spoke of seeing flames shooting out of the right engine on a trip just prior to the accident. Cassie Gaines was reportedly so fearful of flying in the Convair that she offered to ride in the band's equipment truck instead. Ronnie Van Zant had talked her onto the airplane on October 20. Pyle maintains in the Howard Stern interview that the fuel gauge in the older model plane malfunctioned and the pilots had failed to manually check the tanks before taking off. In his book Lynyrd Skynyrd, Remembering the Freebirds of Southern Rock, Gene Oda makes an accusation that co-pilot William Gray was impaired because he had spent part of the previous night snorting cocaine. The toxicology reports from both pilots' autopsies had found them to be clean for drugs and alcohol. After the accident, the NTSB removed, inspected, and tested the right engine's magnetos and found it to be operating normally, concluding no mechanical or electrical discrepancies were found during the examination of the right magneto. The inspection also found that all of the fuel crossfeed and fuel dump valves were in the closed position. Footnotes. References: Brandt, Marley. Freebirds, The Lynyrd Skynyrd Story. Billboard Books. ISBN 0-8230-8321-7. Retrieved October 18, 2008. Davis, Stephen. Walk This Way, The Autobiography of Aerosmith. HarperCollins. ISBN 0-380-97594-7. Retrieved October 18, 2008. External links: NTSB Brief of Crash, The Lynyrd Skynyrd Plane Crash, Check-6.com, Lynyrd Skynyrd's Crash, includes full crew and passenger list. Gillsburg, Miss Plane Crash Kills Lynyrd Skynyrd Band Members, October 1977, official Lynyrd Skynyrd website, Official Lynyrd Skynyrd history site.